2 years ago, I was working a full-time job with a chaotic schedule and chasing my dream. 2 years later, and I'm living my dream, working for myself and baking every week. Today, I'm answering some of the most asked questions I've gotten recently as to how I started my business and what got me to where I am today. Welcome back to the Snazy Sweets channel. For those of you that are new here, hi, I'm Azzy, owner and founder of Snazy Sweets Bakery. Let's get behind the bakes. In 2024, I was working full-time as a barista. So that meant my schedule was pretty chaotic. It was ever changing. But then once farmers markets came around, it was my first year doing them. I didn't know how much prep time I was going to need. I was trying to math it out in my head, and I never baked to such a scale. So I really didn't know by myself in my home how long it was going to take. I was only attending one farmers market a week, and it was on Saturday mornings. And since my days off were Sunday, Mondays, I had to change them to Friday, Saturdays, which worked out for the best because that meant Friday could be my mass bake day, while throughout the week I could just do prep work, prepping dough or batter, and either refrigerating it or freezing it so I could bake it off late Friday night or early Saturday morning. In 2024, I went back and looked at all of my invoices, and I believe I had 6 custom orders. So in 2025, I went from one farmer's market a week to as much as 4 in a week. I applied for 6 different farmers markets at the start of 2025. I applied for one on Tuesday nights, every other Wednesdays, a separate market for the other every other Wednesdays, one on Thursdays, one on Saturdays, and one on Sundays. I did not get in or get waitlisted for the one on Sundays. It's pretty small and really popular. I wasn't super hurt about it because there was plenty of other options. Trying to prepare for all of those markets though really was a struggle. And I was also being super ambitious and trying to change a lot of my menus every single week. I had 10 macaron flavors that were staples, and then I had 2 rotating flavors every single week. I had 4 to 6 different cookies, and I made 6-ounce cookies. Like, they were huge. And I made brownies, cookie bars on Saturday market. Since it was in the morning, I made a bunch of breakfast pastries. I tried bringing sourdough a couple of weeks too. And I think similar to my first year, I was still just being overly ambitious because I didn't want to get bored of making the same things every week, but making the same things every week, at least for an extended amount of time, as opposed to just changing it every single week. So yeah, prepping for up to 4 markets in a week was kind of crazy. Macarons were always their own day. It was always Mondays. It was always macaron Monday. And then Sundays, usually I would try to have off because it would be shopping anyway, be ingredient shopping, grocery shopping, meal prep for the week, and just relaxing. It was a lot of just trying to keep on top of a very tight and strict schedule for myself, so I knew what to expect and what to make every week. Ooh, I would say go with your gut. When it comes to the display and packaging, my first year, I really didn't want to get this acrylic display case that I did end up getting. I really wanted to get the wooden crates and cute little plates and like plexiglass or acrylic walls that I have now, because I saw inspiration from a couple of different vendors in years like before I ever started my business, and I was like, that's really cute, that's really smart, I like it a lot, and I wanted to go with that. And it would have been similar price points display wise to do that, but I got talked into getting an actual display case, which stick up for yourself and go with your gut is what I would tell myself when it comes to that. Something else is branding kind of goes alongside the display. Like, people noticed all of the pink in my branding this last year, more so than the first year, because it's just like I had it everywhere. I had a custom macaron display case. People noticed that because it's mostly pink. My tablecloths were mostly pink. My logo is pink. I brought pink macaron boxes, and those are really nice, high quality boxes for my macarons, which are my best sellers. And people remember my boxes and they like recognize them because I have not met anyone else that uses them. So people remember good branding and good packaging. I would also take social media more seriously because in just 4.5 months, I grew almost 900 followers on Instagram, and that's kind of crazy. And I think that also opened the door for a lot of my custom orders that I got towards the second half of the year. It started to slow down a little bit, and then I started taking social media more seriously when markets started to end and all that. And I went from 279 followers mid-August, and by the end of December, I had 1,117 followers because I was doing my best to post reels almost every single day on Instagram. So on the topic of social media, I would say definitely growing my platforms more. I want to try my best to keep up with posting of reels to Instagram, ideally every day, but sometimes life gets in the way and that just makes it hard for it to happen. I have a goal of posting long form content to YouTube. It's like something to challenge me, and it's supposed to be something fun. Like, I want to enjoy the process. I want to enjoy sharing my recipes or teaching people how to do something new, or sharing insights into what my business like behind the scenes looks like, because not a lot of people are super transparent. So if anyone has any questions about my business. Another goal I have is more custom orders. I just love decorating cakes. Can share more cakes on the screen of that I did in 2025, and I would love to do more. So I'm really hoping that I get repeat customers that loved my cake the first time around and would love to get more. And lastly, I want to make more small business friends. So if you have a small business or small content creator like myself, I would love to be friends, because it's hard to make friends when you work from home alone every day. I went from probably one of the most social jobs anyone could ever have to working completely alone every day. And it's great. It's nice. I can put on whatever show or YouTube video I feel like listening to that day, or music, but it's still really lonely. Those were the top questions I had recently in the last, I'd say 6 years. Those were asked the most out of any other questions. But if you guys have any questions about how I built my business even more, or any more specific questions like how I price stuff, or how I curated all my packaging, because that is something I did by myself, or how I built my website, or anything like that, because one thing a lot of people don't know when they meet me or buy from me in person is that it is all just me. I do all the recipe testing and development, pricing, packaging, shopping, like website building, social media management, content creation. I do it all by myself. Hopefully this year is successful for you if you have a small business or any personal goals you have. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I would love to hear any questions or comments you have, so leave them down below, and I'll see you probably in the kitchen and not at my desk real soon.